struggling to get your personal or professional life together? Does it sometimes feel like you're floating by without direction? You're not alone. There's a lot to juggle, and it can be overwhelming sometimes. But don't worry. Life Coaching Today can help you get clarity and develop a plan to start living the life you want. At Life Coaching Today, we have made it our mission to help you change your life. With our free 30-minute discovery call, one of our certified and experienced coaches will help figure out what is holding you back and work with you to create a plan to transform your life. And once you book a coaching call with us, you'll receive a gift basket worth $500 to help support you on your journey of change. Take back control of your life. Book a free 30-minute discovery call with one of our coaches today.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you all can hear me. It is Thursday. Don't ask me what day of the week it is or what month or whatever. We're in January. It's January 25th. That's what I see it says. That's what I'm claiming, I think. Did I lose a day? January 25th, y'all. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am Kiddada Esmera Gray, conflict coach with Life Coaching Today Presents. I am the host. Good morning. I just want to say that, as usual, as some people say, one of my favorites, Dave Ramsey, Money Coaches, says Murphy has hit. So I have no idea how my Facebook is not cooperating with me. So my Facebook Live. So I'm going to try to work on that and try to look as if I have some home training in this space, right? While I'm paying attention and talking to you guys. It has been a week, even though it has felt like a month. I saw my favorite meme this week where someone said, I hate the month of January. And yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I feel like this has been a year in 25 days already. Like 2024, we're about to end at the end of January, right? Because it has been so dense with everything that it is so overwhelming, in my spirit, in my body is feeling it. But I'm excited this morning. I am choosing joy this morning. That's a lie. I am choosing happiness and hopefully rolling into the space of joy this morning. So that way, and for the rest of the day, because I have been not necessarily in a funk, I have just had, my spirit has been heavy. The Life Coaching Today family, we had a loss of one of our dear sisters, Joyce. She passed away and has gained her wings. So we are blessed that she is at peace. But that is a loss for us. That is another wonderful sister girl that, some of you all heard her on her podcast, and some of us will never hear her voice anymore, or have her cooking, because y'all, Joyce was a beast in the kitchen. And I last saw Joyce this summer when the crew members, all my fantastic crew members, came to Atlanta, and she cooked and we broke bread and we laughed and so forth. And so condolences to Joyce and Joyce's family, because this is a hard time for all of them. And in general, like for me personally, it has been, I've had scary moments over the week. And I forget that it has been 7 days, but I've had scary moments dealing with my love's health issues. I have had moments of frustration. I have had moments of joy. And it has just been so many roller coaster of emotions that I have needed to sit quietly and reset. And that is going to be something that we're going to talk about today, because I found a phrase that I didn't even know about, right? And it's called nope. Okay, so if you have your 5 love languages, right? I think a lot of us know about those, but we don't know, on the opposite side of that is, what are our stressors and how do we handle our stressors, right? So we'll talk more about that. And I'm getting these like Facebook things like go live. And I'm like, I can't be responsible for some technology that is not working for me this morning. So sorry, y'all. We'll run it back and we'll work through it. So that is my week. And like I said, I am trying to move my space into joy. And not that I'm sad, I'm just in a funk, right? And when I'm in a funk, I need a reset. I need peace. I need quiet spaces. I need my brain to kind of slow down so it can slow down my body systems and I don't feel the overwhelming energies that are feeling like they are literally taking me out and not wanting me to function. So that's part of it. And I'm just going to say woosah. And I hope that in this week, you all have recovered from anything that has been challenging, annoying, frustrating, emotional. Because guess what, y'all? We're still standing. We are still standing. We still have breath, and we are still pushing along. And that is that's what we're called to do. And that is super, super duper important. So that's where I'm at this morning. I've got the coffee. I don't have anything really and truly on the desk of Kiddada today because, like I said, I've been in a funk, right? Except for the funky, funky, fresh glasses. And which, can we just talk about it? I love glasses. I love frames. I have my contacts in and then just wearing the frames. And when I wear my contacts with the frames, that means I can barely see. So if y'all see my laptop, y'all will know that my screen is like expanded to like 200% so I can see. You got to make choices in this world, y'all. I can see distance wise, but I can't see up close. So that's where I'm at this morning, right? So I'm gonna keep talking myself through you gotta have a little joy, you gotta have a little funk. I might even like dance a little bit this morning. As time was running out, I was actually going to sing my way into joy. And y'all don't know that I sing, but I do. And I didn't even get to that, right? I didn't get there. But let's talk about something or some things that are occurring in this world that are just wild and crazy. So across the country, it is political season as usual. We are in the 2024 presidential season. So that is really huge. And right now, Donald Trump on the Republican side is just sweat. Everybody like sweat in New Hampshire. And, Ron DeSantis, who is not my favorite by any stretch of the imagination, he has dropped out. And speculation is that he dropped out because he might be the choice for vice president. And I'm going to cross my fingers and do a little dance and spin 12 times that we can't have, in my opinion, I can't have two in office that are just bad at the same time. And Nikki Haley is holding on. She in New Hampshire, she finally got into high double digits, right? I think it was like 38 or something where she landed. So she is still fighting the fight. I just want to say that it would be a miracle on this planet with political ideology if Nikki Haley was to become the first female president that's a Republican. Because I'm not too sure if conservative Republicans would want that. I don't know about that. I don't know if I've ever seen a poll about that either. Talking because I don't know if the Republican Party is about that life, really, because some of them really believe that women should be in the background. But we just gonna leave that there. Thank you. I just saw I just saw it. Thank you. You can share it on your page and tag me, though. You could do that. Answering my little sidebar conversation on the side here. The other thing is that so we have that, and then we have like President Biden in the Democratic side, we're starting to have our primaries. And don't ask me, I just know President Biden's at the top. And I heard that, and when I say I heard, I'm literally not paying attention to details intentionally, because once again, I'm tired and I don't need anything else in my spirit to exhaust me. But Biden is the one of choice, and somewhere I read that there were like almost 21 potential running candidates on the Democratic ballot. Now, that just means that they want to run. That does not mean that they will make it to the debate stage. That does not even mean they're going to make it on the ballot. So it is going to ramp up, right? So that's presidential leanings and what is occurring there. Um, simply. Now, the next thing about tis the season, anytime in January kicks off. And if you aren't aware, every state has a different legislative session. That means the convening of the legislative body to come and now start making laws and or passing the budget. And I say and or because I want you all to know that different states have different job descriptions for their state house and senate representatives. I bet you all didn't know that. And so like in the state of Georgia, the main job requirement for our senators and our House representatives are simply, though they have one job in the state of Georgia, and that is to pass the budget. Period. End of story. As a political consultant, I have to tell you all that if you're in Georgia, because that's what they're called to do. That is constitutionally written. So stop it with the, well, they didn't pass any laws. They are not mandated to pass any laws. And it would be an interesting legislative session if they did not. However, if some of y'all would act right, and I'm just going to say it that way, we wouldn't need certain laws, right? We wouldn't need homeland security laws. And so some of these laws are, they are managing us people. They are literally managing us every day. And we are not paying attention. And I need you all to pay attention a tad bit more, because what happens in legislative session, when they are getting to laws, right? Everybody can drop a bill. That doesn't mean it's going to pass. So across the country, I have found some legislation that is kind of wild and crazy. And you have to wonder, why are we passing laws like this? So one law that I saw, and I'm not even going to name the state. I'm not even going to name this the representative, but I will say they are Republican. And you know, there's that trend out here of furries. You know, like people that dress up in like teddy bears and like you know they're in the costumes and so forth. And so there is a piece of legislation that was dropped to ban furries. Listen, we got too much things going on, like homelessness in this world, right? So that's the first bill that I'm just like, that's wild and crazy, people. That's wild and crazy. The other one that I think is wild and crazy is the idea that, and it's another Republican. I'm just going to do it that way, y'all, because sometimes, once again, we have people who are hungry. We have families that can't feed their own families. You got mom and dads who cannot feed their own families, even though they're working 40 plus hours a week. And yet this Republican has decided to drop a bill that states that when young kids in schools, so imagine the kindergartners, right, the first grade babies, that when they behave like animals. Now, let me pause here and say I'm a mommy of three. And when my middle child, who is now working towards being a veterinarian, when she was about 5, she went through a phase where she wanted to be a puppy. So no, I'm not going to say 5, right? Because she's probably like, no, I knew better. Okay, so I'm about to say 3 and 4, right? Let's take it down. And I remember her being in the kitchen, and she would get down on all fours, and she would bark like a dog, right? And she just thought she was a puppy. And she would mimic puppies and meow like a cat and whatever. And so this legislator is saying that if a child does that in school, he is wanting them to be punished. And let's see, and be picked up by animal control. And I'm just gonna call it out because I just found it. It is in Oklahoma. It's I don't even understand, y'all. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. Once again, we have real issues in this country. And so I want to say this too, though, that it is not a thing. It is not a thing that when they create a bill that it automatically passes. It is not mandated that when they go into legislative council, and that is the people that will tell them, how to prepare their language, the other laws around it, and so forth. So I just want to let y'all know that, we have some wild stuff going on. And this morning, and I don't mean to stay here, but I feel like it is, like, we got to just say it. We got to just say it. Because when you think about laws, right, I think we don't think enough about why these laws are being passed and what they are connected to and why they feel like there's a necessity. So I know in New York State and in Florida, the legislatures are trying to pass bills or have passed bills that are banning young people to not be able to, under the age of 16, they're either going to ban or they're going to restrict access to social media because they are now saying it is toxic. And I'm feeling some kind of way about that. I think it's an interesting mandate. I think that's very interesting. And so I don't, we have to pay attention, people. That's what I want to say about those things, because some of these laws out here, y'all, some things aren't protected. Some of these are like individual, as we used to say back in the day, individual beefs, y'all. Like somebody got a beef with somebody, or somebody doesn't like so-and-so, or, we're mad at so-and-so today, so I'm gonna create a bill that's gonna harm so-and-so. It's wild in these political streets. But just pay attention, watch the news, read the newspaper, and make sure that you are paying attention to what's happening and occurring in your state. I need y'all to do that. It'll give me some relief. Now, I do want to say something that brought me really a lot of high measures of joy. So I did have a joyous moment this week. If you know me, I love research. I love data. I'm about that life. And what I mean is I love hard facts. I love logical stuff that I can hold on to. And I found something that I was like, ooh, wait a minute. And I'll bring it back up next month. But I needed to just say this today because as a Black woman who at one point in time when I was younger, like 16, 17, 18, I felt like I never wanted to get married. And that was not my jam. I was not interested. And so I never wanted to get married. And let me just add this on to say that the reason why marriage was not my thing. I was like on my way. I had a path. I had things that I needed to do. And the other thing, though, is that I had a child. So as a Black woman, that is a statistic. If you have a child, can you get married? That conversation is there. I don't want to go in depth with that, but I do want to say this, that there is a new data has just come out, and I'm talk about this all next month because it's Black History Month, because we need to bring on our fascinating, our first guest, Duncan Brown. But let me just say this, that the data is saying that Black women are more likely to have a Black spouse. That means we getting married, y'all, and we can stop this conversation around like, oh my God, we don't get married and Black men don't love us and blah, 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 blah. And I just want to be a little bit trite in my conversation here. because we are harming our communities when we talk about things like we can't be married or nobody wants a Black woman in their lives. And so I just want to say Pew Research revealed, I'm going to read it directly, that 87% of married Black women are more than likely than to marry 79% of Black men. So come on, come through, sister girls. Come on. I love my people. And so I just wanted to bring that joy. And we are going to take a break. And in that, after the break, we're going to bring back Duncan Brown and we are going to talk about alcohol use and why it's a challenge. And let me just say, this show will go a little bit longer today because we have a new segment called What He Said. And so now I have Luther Jones with us today and Kevin Miles, who are going to give me, maybe they're going to try to educate me on some male stuff. But let's talk about men, baby. And that's what we're going to talk about today with Duncan Brown, Luther Jones, and Kevin Miles. We're going to talk about alcohol use in men. We're going to talk about signs in men that they're unhappy and whatever else gets us in trouble this morning. So Yoruba, my awesome producer, let's roll it. Thank you.
Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada.
Hey, Duncan, good morning.
Hello. I'm really pleased to join you at the end of 2024 as we move into 2024 beta.
Yes, doesn't it? Well, okay, first of all, I am loving the accent. I'm loving the look. I am loving the look completely. I'm loving it. Now, before we get started, I just want to say that, I read your bio and I felt a little bit challenged, and I'm going to tell you why. So we already have conflict first thing in the morning, okay? Because I saw that you went to Cornell.
Yeah, I studied at the T. Colin Campbell Plant-Based Nutrition Centre.
As a Colgate girl on the other side, I don't know.
I expect we can probably find some common ground though.
Well, we survived the cold, right?
Oh yeah. That's the funny thing. It's a bit cold in Oxford where I live at.
Yeah.
And I occasionally jump on these podcasts and I say to somebody in somewhere like New York, I say, oh, it's a bit cold. And then they explain to me what cold actually is. So I've given up complaining about the weather.
So we have more in common. So I have been to Oxford. My grandmother lived in Oxford, and I've been to Oxford University when I went to school in England. So yeah, it's not cold. It's not cold like you're cold. It's definitely not. But welcome. Thank you for being with me. I am so super excited because, I don't know what's happening in England. I try to kind of keep up on that side because I have a lot of family. But, here in the United States, it is now trending this idea of dry January. Or do you guys do that in England? Do you guys do that?
Yes.
Okay. And I loved when in your bio that I saw like you are the man. Then get men and or if women are listening, right, past alcohol, right? What beyond that? So tell my listeners just who you are, what do you do? And yeah, I'm gonna ask you a whole bunch of questions. So yeah, go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah, so my name is Duncan Brown, and I think the mistake people make about me is they think I help other people to stop drinking, but that is not what I do at all.
Okay.
I help people to start living, because
Yes.
it's not about removing that one behavior. It's about building the life that you want, the life that you deserve, the life that your family needs you to live. That's what I am all about.
I love that. So, and why did alcohol? Because there's a lot of things, and I know that you have been trained under smoking cessations, getting people to stop smoking. So you are literally helping people to live via the vices that we all have, right? And smoking is a vice, sex is a vice, alcohol is a vice. So tell me, why did you end up in this space?
Well, it's a very interesting question because I used to have most of those vices myself. So
Ah,
why did I pick on one? Why did I pick on alcohol? Yeah, that's a good question. So I do some work with people around smoking, and I
mhm.
think it is an important issue, but it's a battle that we are starting to win.
Okay.
And I mean, I can go off on a rant about vaping if you want, but in
Ooh.
general, smoking is
Mhm.
going in the right direction. The attitude towards smoking has changed massively over the last 20 years. And what I think we need to do is we need to change the attitude towards alcohol in exactly the same way. Um, I think alcohol is one of the biggest problems that society is facing at the moment. And that is why, I get out of bed in the morning to try and um, do something to end the misery that alcohol causes people, because the effect is huge. And I think people don't even realize what an effect it has on our society.
Gosh, that is so good. You have me thinking that, you have an uphill battle, right? Because alcohol consumption and the perception of alcohol, it's very romanticized. And there's an economic side of it that I don't even think we think about, like how many, wind down Wednesdays, and this idea of all of these products that you can buy just for alcoholic purposes. How is, I'm bringing my purse. I was stunned to see purses that you could put bottles of alcohol in or pour the alcohol in. And you can bring that with you and you can drink anywhere. And we're seeing laws that are being passed all over the country about accessibility to alcohol and being able to take it into parks. And I enjoy a glass of wine on occasion, but can you tell me, what have you seen that are the triggering signs for someone that is really in the space of alcohol abuse?
So, in terms of individuals, what triggers them, it varies massively. And that's one of the main problems with alcohol.
Hmm.
There is no one kind of route into drinking. If you look at some of the
Hmm.
research that we've done, for example, we found that quite a lot of people have childhood trauma. That is what sets them off to
Yeah,
drink. And unresolved childhood trauma, that is another massive issue in society. And I definitely don't want to play that down. But
right.
we also found that there's quite a big group of people who they started off drinking normally, and then what happened was some kind of significant event happened to them in their adulthood, which would be traumatic. So that could be a car crash, it could be losing their job, it could be
Mm,
grief, it could be
yeah.
relationships, something like that, that actually just escalated their drinking to problematic levels. And then we find another group of people, quite a lot of people, who drink for more kind of fitting in, social anxiety. Some of them drink because it's just considered a part of the job that they're in. So there's a lot of different
Mm,
reasons why people start
yeah.
drinking in the first place. And alcohol, in many ways, is a very versatile drug. It fills a lot of different holes in your kind of life. If you want to drink it as a stimulant to go out and party, you can drink it as a stimulant to go out and
Mm,
party. But if you want to drink it as a depressant to numb your feelings, you can do that as well. And that, I
mhm.
think, is one of the problems. It seems to fall into a lot of different cracks for a lot of different people. So it's hard to sort of sum up what the one or even the
Yeah,
most common triggers would be for
yeah.
people.
Yeah, can I just say, I love your answer because it gave me pinpoints that I never thought about. Um,
Well, you're not alone. I mean, we just don't think about or talk about alcohol.
yeah, yeah, we don't talk about alcohol. And you discussed, like, we have another coach on life coaching today with Carol Boston. And I know Carol said one time that she coaches women through the use of alcohol in social settings. And so you talked about that, because some of us, when we're networking, right, it's definitely a thing to grab the alcohol, and working past those feelings of shame and guilt around why it isn't that we're not drinking, which is something so interesting, that in our adulthood that we are still feeling ashamed around making a choice that is best for us. And so that is something that I know that you have probably had to have a few conversations about. Um, And so the you talk about this idea of you are helping people live. And so I want to take it away from people and be really specific in the space of you have targeted your target audience, if I may say, is working with men. And I said, we're going to talk about men today. So what do you see are the differences in men, and why did you men in regards to their coping mechanism of alcohol, and how do you take them from A to Z or Z to A, just in case, right, if we need to change the behavior, how did you arrive there to get to the point of saying I need to help my fellow men through this space?
Largely, it's because we're rubbish, and men, we just like well, we are, aren't we? You know, I mean, you look at the civil rights movement. You know, that is a group of people who have really seriously organised around an issue. And you look at feminism. That is a group of people who have really seriously organised around an issue. And then you look at all of the issues that men face, like suicide, like the inability to get to grips with our emotions, like the fact that you know, we suffer from PTSD more, we are more likely to be in prison, and we are much more likely to have alcohol problems than women have. In fact, according to the World Health Organization, if you put 4 drinks on a bar top, 3 of them are going to get drunk by men. So we are massively outperforming women in the area of alcohol consumption. Yet we have not organized ourselves, and we have not done anything to help ourselves. And that actually contrasts massively with, there are a load of really amazing women in the sober space who are talking about sobriety from a female point of view. I mean, Annie Grace is just about the most famous of them, but there are loads of them, and they are doing fantastic work. And I agree with everything that they say, and I love their methods, and it resonates very much with me. But they do talk about going and picking your kids up from school and having a glass of white wine after that. And I don't think the Chardonnay school run resonates with a lot of blokes. So
I don't mean to laugh. I promise you all, I don't mean to laugh, but I'm laughing.
It's fine. I like being funny. I wanted to roll a bit of joy your way, so I'm glad to do that.
It's a true story. Women promote that.
I mean, so a lot of that, it varies. The media would have you believe that women drink to become glamorous and attractive, and men drink because that makes them tough and it makes them strong. And you know, there's a whole heap of head junk that goes around society about the strength of men, and you know, boys don't cry, all of that kind of stuff. And alcohol is tied up in that. So when I wrote Real Men Quit, and you know, when I work with men, part of it is unpicking that idea of masculinity and alcohol.
I love that. I love that. So you mentioned mom doing the pickup, because listen, I could understand, because those school lines when you're in the car and you want to, oh my gosh, and by the time you get the kids in the car and then you get home, you are stressed. So please tell me what men do, because I'm assuming they're not going to, you know, coach the little league football team and then they're going home to drink. So what are the behaviors or some of these alcoholic practices that almost become norms, right, that men are exhibiting that you have seen?
Yeah, well, you know, just what do you do? What do you do on a Saturday? I believe we're warming up for the Super Bowl, aren't we? That's not too far away, is it? You know, into the playoffs, and what is intimately connected with the Super Bowl. You might point out that there's some food that goes with it, but I guarantee you a lot of people are going to be sat in front of the Super Bowl drinking beer or drinking some form of alcohol, because you know, that's one of the massive things we connect with alcohol is sport, and men are very into sport. But you know, it's almost deeper than that. It's like a lot of guys, they don't think there is a way of going out and relating to other men and being, you know, social with other guys when alcohol isn't involved. And of course, you know, there is. That is a ridiculous thing to think. You know, there are plenty of ways of socializing, but if you've grown up in a culture where every social event there is alcohol, you know, then of course you're going to think that. That's what the world has taught you to think.
Right. Oh gosh, you are that dismantling of the toxic ideologies that we have about what men are, how men should behave, and or this idea of we're not even really encouraging men just to be. I like to say that people need to just be, right? And to know who you are in the be, right? And I
Yeah.
guess what you're saying is that men sometimes, some men sometimes only know themselves in the space of I need to have a, when we say break bread, what we're saying sometimes for men, that translation is let me just go ahead and drink. Let's sit in the pub. I attended Bradford University, and I remember there was a bar inside of the building, and that was wild as an American girl coming over, right? And so you can go get a drink and then go upstairs to class. And so what were a couple things that men can practice that you share with them that they can do to kind of move themselves to living instead of, not really living to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've hit on a really, really interesting point. Well, I did kind of a couple of really interesting points. That idea of being present, alcohol is one of the best ways of making yourself not at all present in the situation,
Yep.
because you tend to you have the first drink and you think the first drink has provided you something, so you end up chasing that feeling you got from the first drink. So you're not even halfway through your first drink and you're already thinking about the second drink. So it puts you into this mindset of thinking about what might be coming in the future, until, of course, it puts you in the mindset of not really being able to think at all, and you can't be in the present if your brain isn't working, at all. Exactly. So alcohol is a great way of taking yourself out of the present and taking yourself out of the actual experiences of life. Some people would say that's the main benefit of it, but I think the real impact of that is it does have a huge impact on your self-awareness. You stop being aware of who you are. And I have spoken to so many men who have, they've gone down the road a little bit and they've started to realize that they were using alcohol to hide who they really were. And, that self-awareness, it becomes massive. And, they all of a sudden discover that they do have meaning and they do have purpose in their life. And, if you stop drinking, you also get a massive boost of energy and focus, and they go off and chase that meaning and purpose and actually make something of their lives and become the person that they want to be.
Do you encourage a dry January? Do you encourage just start every day with what do you, I don't want you to give away your secrets, right? But I think it is pertinent. Sorry, y'all. I'm like shifting on my chair and about to fall off. I do think it is pertinent to figure out where to begin. Because there's, like you said, there's so many things to dismantle around, who I am, who I was taught I was supposed to be, my childhood trauma. I'm unhappy in my marriage. I'm unhappy at work. All of these stressors. So where does one start? Where do you get them to begin?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good thing to note that actually, if you've got a lot of stress at work, if you've got difficulties in your relationship and you are drinking heavily, then drinking heavily is massively contributing towards those stresses in your work and your stresses in your relationship. So I would argue, and there are other people have different opinions, but I would argue that if you sort out the drinking, it's going to make sorting out the relationship and the employment a lot easier. That's certainly my experience. I stopped drinking, and then I had this realization that I was only working where I was working because I could do it, when I felt rough in the morning. And actually, as soon as I stopped drinking, it was like, well, there must be more to life than this. Likewise, my relationship with my wife, it became so much deeper when I stopped drinking because I was actually able to be there for her and engage emotionally and all of those kind of things. But how do you start was actually your question. So I have mixed feelings about dry January. It can be very effective, but it can be a bit of a trap. Some people do dry January and they think they're all right, and then they drink heavily for 11 months, and then they do dry January and they think they're all right. So with that caveat aside, I would say start wherever you start. Even if it's nothing more than just going onto Instagram and typing in hashtag sober living or something like that and seeing what comes up. Because there are now more and more people who are talking about sobriety, and you can find a lot of really famous and successful men who have stopped their drinking. So, like, if you like American football, I know you probably, if you support any team other than the Patriots, you might not be that keen on Tom Brady, but you've got to admire his ability, haven't you? And 7 Super Bowl rings is a pretty impressive achievement. And of course, he does not drink because he knows that elite performance and alcohol just don't go together. If you like motor racing, Lewis Hamilton stopped drinking. In the unlikely event you like snooker, there's this amazing guy called Ronnie O'Sullivan. But like you like acting, right?
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins, quite a famous actor. Gerard Butler, Daniel Radcliffe. There are so many famous people who've stopped drinking. So many great men who are these amazing examples. Just go and look at them. Go and look at what they've done. Go and see how it's helped them. Go and hear them talk about it. And that will at least spark your interest. And then, that's just the first step. If you then go and do Dry January, it can be really, really effective. It can be effective as a kind of a reset. So you can use those 31 days to sort of like get the alcohol out of your system and reset all of your brain chemistry and all the hormones and the neurotransmitters and that sort of thing. And that can provide you a good base to do mindful drinking or controlled drinking or something like that. You have to be very careful with that, and you have to have a really clear plan. And I would suggest if that's the route you want to go, get some help. But it can be very useful for that. But I've also met a whole load of people who thought, I do Dry January, and it got to February and they were enjoying themselves so much. They thought, well, I'm not going to start drinking again. And, it got to March and they thought, I'll do Dry March as well. And all of a sudden it was October and they sort of begrudgingly realized that they'd gone sober because they were enjoying it so much. So, I always like to stress that there is only one path that anyone can take, and that is the path that they should take. I can't tell people what to do. I'm more than happy to walk down the road with them, but I can't tell them which road to go down because I am not a sat nav.
Right. I love you so much, Duncan. And I need you to tell me how to pronounce, tell me how to pronounce the middle name.
It's Bhaskaran. It's from South India, Kerala. That's where my wife's family are from. That's her heritage. So when we got married, she didn't want to be Mrs. Brown because it kind of is a bad joke. So we became the Bhaskaran Browns, the one and only Bhaskaran Browns in the entire world.
Well, that's so very modern of you. I like that. That's a whole other conversation, but Bhaskaran Brown, I like you. I love you for that. So I first, because you brought up American football, and then I kind of glazed over because I'm like, I watch football periodically, and it means absolutely nothing to me. But before we close, I do have two most important questions for you. One is that since I'm an island girl and colonized by the British, so we love a good football, British football. Who's your team? Who's your team over in England? I need to know. Yes.
Yeah. So when I was 9, Oxford United won. It was called the Milk Cup at the time. It's the League Cup. It's the third most important trophy in English football.
Yep.
But we won it when I was 9, and I was like, wow, that's it. This is amazing. So I kind of have to be an Oxford United fan, and they have been totally rubbish ever since. So I'm just stuck with them.
Okay. All right. I'm a Man U girl. I'm a Manchester United girl from way back.
So I watched them. I watched them not live. I watched them on TV win the European Cup in '99 in Germany. It was one of the best evenings of my life. I was with a bunch of United fans. That was fantastic. I love that. So, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer banging it into the back of the net right in the depths of injury time.
I
got a soft spot for United. I have been to Old Trafford as well.
Okay, I love it. So, Duncan, thank you for being on. Please tell my listeners how to find you. What is your webpage? How do they find you?
So if you can spell Bhaskaran Brown, I'm pretty easy to find, but most people can't. So if you just put Real Men Quit into the internet, you'll find that one on Amazon. Or if your listeners put in getover.uk into Google, that will take you to a web page, which is part of my website. And your listeners can get a free copy of my book before that one, which is called Get Over Indulgence. They can have that Kindle, PDF, audio. Just put getover.uk into that, and you know, they can. I mean, it is a bit on my website as well, so you can find all about it.
All right, Duncan, thank you for coming on Life Coaching Today Presents. I want you, before you leave, on the back end, if you put all your stuff in the chat, which we already have, but if you put it there, we will put it out. And to my awesome producer, we are going to get ready to have on the What He Said segment with Luther Jones and Kevin Miles. Thank you, Duncan. Appreciate you. Stay warm.
You too, and good luck with 2024 beta.
All right, thank you, Duncan. We had another clip.
One of the biggest challenges for coaches, practitioners, and hypnotherapists is getting clients. As coaches ourselves, we know how difficult it is on social media to stand out and gain credibility. That is why at Life Coaching Today, we connect coaches like you with clients. It all starts with our directory, where it's possible to create a profile that gets the right exposure with over 12,000 hits a month. You can gain credibility by writing for Life Coaching Today magazine, add videos, be interviewed on our podcast, teach classes in the community, and sell your products directly from our website. Not to mention, we actually connect clients who are actively searching for coaches who can best serve them. So if you are struggling to get clients, have Life Coaching Today help you get more clients. Go to lifecoachingtoday.com.
Oh, goodness. Hey, guys. I see. What is going on here? Good morning. Good morning. Not sure. It's evening time over in Thailand. So to the listeners, this is going to be a new segment. I think on the third Thursdays of the month. That's what I got someone to commit to. Probably with the exception of next month, but that's because it's Black History Month. And so, but it is going to be a segment called What He Said. What the whole premise is that I'm going to say some stuff that's going to be a little challenging in this space of male and female dynamics. And, you know, we have Kevin Miles. If y'all know who that is, that's my boo, as they say. And he always has an interesting perspective on life. And then the grown-ass Black man, my big brother, Luther Jones, is on all the way from Thailand, y'all. And we want his perspective too. And I know the last time he was on, I had some sister girls that said, wait, what did he say? Wait, what? And especially my cousin. Hey, Lorraine, shout out to you. Good morning, sister. And so I wanted to do a segment because I need male perspective on some things. And so thank you all for joining me this morning. Duncan has got me hyped up. I started with the political stuff that got me hyped up with the foolishness too. But so I have a question for you all. As you all listened to Duncan speak about the challenges that men have, I would just like your reflections on that, on what he said about whether it's alcohol or the vices that men have to kind of cope. I'll call y'all out.
Can you hear me? Can you?
Yeah. You want to go first?
Okay, good. Yeah. My thought was if someone that has went through a past history of substance abuse, I think that the key that he said was helping people to live. I think that from my personal experience, going through, and I'm not ashamed to say, going to Narcotics Anonymous was helpful to me to find that inner voice that our culture for men tends to suppress.
Yeah.
And that inner voice was saying and speaking to me for many years. I just wasn't hearing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that inner voice was saying, I am not happy.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing everything you're supposed to, because as a man, there are expectations that you live up to. But inside that, I wasn't connecting with the expectation, because that was not me.
Mm.
And then I went through a period of because for me, for substance abuse, it kind of allows you to be free from expectations when you get tired of living up to what people think you should do.
Mm. Well, thank you for being vulnerable enough, because I didn't even know that story. So thank you for being vulnerable enough to share it and speak honestly in that space. And I just want to say, honoring the inner voice is definitely not something that men are taught to do. So whether we, from a religious perspective, whether we say that is a spirit guiding us, that's telling us or warning us, or, for us, for women, we call it intuition. And so our intuition literally telling us what is wrong, what we need to change, and to the point of you being so honest about, we just don't listen. And it takes a while for us to listen. So Kevin Miles, you are on deck.
Okay. And first, let me start off by saying good morning or good afternoon or evening to my new stepbrother.
That's right.
And I will attempt to not be particularly loquacious this morning.
Oh,
But,
no big words.
Yeah.
Let me pause this so I can get my dictionary this morning. Hold on.
I got them at Target. It was 2 for 1, so I got a whole bunch of them. But and I will say this. I'm gonna preface this by saying I remember I had a conversation with an old man once who told me that, he said, everybody in America has a lying habit. He said the best thing you can do is look at yourself in the mirror in the morning and say, I will not misrepresent anything today. So I'm starting my day by telling you I'm not going to misrepresent anything today. For my brothers, and I'm speaking from my own perspective because this was me, we do not have effective coping mechanisms to deal with stress. We are not socialized in ways that allow us to express ourselves outside of a particular norm that is presented. So what ends up happening is basically the older you get, you learn the role that you are expected to play. And you become more effective at playing that role. And that comes at the cost of cutting off all of the parts of you that don't fit. Yes. And we don't have coping mechanisms to deal with that. So what do you do when the only thing that is expected of you is 35% of who you are? Right?
Wow.
65% of who you are, you don't have a way to express it, and you feel like nobody cares about it. And we don't have the mechanisms to talk to each other, to express it, to figure out that we're not alone in feeling this way, to explore what it would mean to be the other 65% of yourself. So we end up delving into escapism, right? Because I would always ask, I spent my whole career in like civil rights and stuff. If you call a meeting anywhere in America right now to talk about what's going on in the community, I can guarantee you're going to have a room full of women. You're going to have children that the women brought, and you're going to have some old men. But the men who are between 30 and 50 will not be there. They're not in church. They're not in the meetings. They're not in the organizations. They're not in the social clubs. They are escaping. They're on PlayStation. They're sitting around together. They're drinking. They're, and I'm not saying that in any way to be pejorative. I'm saying it because the game is rigged, and it's a process for us to figure out that it's okay to bust out of the matrix. It's okay for us to kind of escape. Now, doing so is difficult, but it's liberatory. That's one of them. That's one of my target words. So.
Yeah, you brought some stuff this morning, and I'm gonna say forgive him, y'all, because yeah, it's
Kiddada, can I share something
right now?
We need these big words after 8:05, and like I said, y'all, this podcast will run a little bit longer today because of the What He Said segment, and so I heard Brother Luther say something. So go ahead, Brother Luther.
Yeah,
and then
I want to say this as a thing to mothers, to Black mothers.
Oh yes, child. Oh Lord, come on with it. Come on.
Black mothers need to trust that the values that they have instilled in their Black sons will live on, and allow them to explore and to make decisions, and those values that you instilled in them, trust they will guide them through these. And I think so many times Black mothers want to protect their Black men because they know what is out there. You know what I'm saying? Right. So many Black men don't make it to adulthood because of crime, because of the realities that Black men has to face. But those values that you instilled in them, they will survive.
Was that
they will turn back to those values. And I can tell you that for a fact. But one thing I will say to Black women is that I came from a household where my mother handed me or taught me values that I did believe in, but I was under such restriction. So much, you can't do this and you can't do this and you can't do this. Because of these values, she put restrictions, but the reality of it is that made me want to do it even more.
Right. Well, that's
instead of allowing me to explore and allow those values to kick in a way that I felt like I was a dog chained up. And when I became 18, that dog was free. And I did everything that I was not allowed to do. It took 10 years for those values to bring me back home, but they did.
Right. Thank you for that message, Luther, because I have an 18-year-old young adult son, and Lord knows the try of the tries, the tries of the tries. So thank you for saying that. And I just want to, y'all, once again, I'm always doing research. I'm reading way too much, but I came across an article that discussed how do you know when a man is unhappy, right? And so I thought, well, this is interesting because, we oh Lord, my mind is running in this space. And so when I saw that, and I hear you all talk about the restrictions that you have, or you can only live a portion of your life, part of that has to be manifesting in a space of unhappiness. And so I just want to kind of give you guys some of the top things that they said that, that we as women should look for. But I want to know if you guys think that these things are true. So one is that he's more irritable than usual. That's a sign of unhappiness. He's withdrawing from social activities. Ladies, if you know or you have witnessed that your man has lost his sense of purpose, or he's overcompensating with humor. I thought that was a little interesting. Or he's lost his interest in his appearance. I don't know. I thought those were kind of vague, like those were kind of so big and so large and wide that I was just like,
Can I share something with you? An easier way to look at this is when he puts you under a microscope, he's unhappy with you.
Meaning, go ahead, tell us a little bit more, Brother Luther.
Meaning that when a man loves you, he's not critical. He's forgiving. He's over. He there's a lot of things that don't matter. And when he falls out of love with you, those things begin to matter. He starts complaining about how you look. He starts complaining about what you do, where you go.
Okay, so I do want to honor that and say that is on both sides of the house. Male and females do that. But the question is, are those things that I discussed, are those the things that reveal to women that men are unhappy? What do you think, Kevin Miles?
I think those are accurate things that reveal that a man is unhappy in the moment. But I think that speaks to the larger issue of whether or not that man is happy or unhappy. I think a bigger question is, do most men, are they consciously aware of the state of their own happiness or unhappiness? Right? Part of the reason people do things like drink and, just hang out and do all the escapism things is so that they don't have to connect with the fact that they are unhappy. Right? So I don't know that most of my brothers are consciously aware that the psychological condition in which they find themselves is not the condition that they have to be in. Right? That this is actually on a linear scale. And if you were conscious of the scale, you might realize, wow, I'm not happy. I don't like this. But, the way that we are raised can be so constricting that you just start to feel like the life that I'm living is the only life that I can have. And so you just look for ways to turn it off when the opportunity comes. I was at the gym one morning. This little dude came in the gym. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. And he just completely smelled like he took a bath in weed. Like he was, and it was so bad that I approached him in the locker room. And I was like, bruh, do you like roll out of bed and just get high? And he turned it into a joke. He was like, I wake and bake. And in my mind, I'm thinking, what is your analysis of the life you live that as soon as you open your eyes and get out of bed, you immediately have to escape? Now, if I would ask him, he probably wouldn't define himself as unhappy, but I can promise you that's a man that's not happy.
Okay, I have a challenge because last night when I was speaking to my baby, Samari, and he's my baby. He's my baby. And he's 18, y'all. So he's my baby. And so I was talking to him about, how his mind works, how he's thinking or whatever. And I was encouraging him to use I statements, because when we use I statements, we are really present in what it is that we're feeling and what it is that we're practicing. So I'm going to ask you both to use an I statement. And if you were vulnerable enough to share, what are the things that could you tell the world that, because I know somebody else has this, what is one of the things that makes you know that you are unhappy?
I don't live an unhappy world because of the principle that I live by. The door swings both ways.
Okay,
and
I don't know what that means.
I'm gonna tell you what that. Yeah, you do. The door swings both ways. Is that you swung your ass in here? You can swing your ass out. So I don't live unhappy at all.
He has no home training. So you're basically saying I'm going to say it this way. If I put myself in a situation, I can get myself out of the situation. Is that what you're saying?
Right. And what I tell people don't believe me, is there's no reason to cheat. And the reason why there's no reason to cheat, because if I feel like I want to cheat, I'll tell you to get the fuck out.
Oh, Lord, y'all, it's too early in the morning. I told y'all.
So when you have that mindset, what you need to be unhappy for?
That's true.
When you see something you don't like, speak it and do something about it.
All right, Mr. Miles, because I'm wondering if you show up with a yellow T-shirt one day if I'm gonna know you're in crisis, because y'all, he likes to wear black all the time, like he a New Yorker, and he's not a New Yorker, y'all. He from that spot in the Midwest over there called Cleveland, Ohio. So, what is your I statement about your unhappiness? What is it?
When I was talking about the whole living in the 35% and ignoring the 65%, when I was a kid and I was growing up, I used to write. I would write poetry. I sang. I danced. I acted. My grandfather had like a little workshop. He would let us go in there, use his tools, which was probably hella dangerous. But back in the day, me and my brother would go in there with power tools. We would make stuff. Shout out to my brother who made some roller skates out of wood when he was like 11 years old.
Okay, we need him on. Okay.
we were doing it like that. And as I got older and started learning the role that I felt like was expected of me as a young kid in Cleveland, it wasn't about, what can you do? What can you create? What do you like? It was about, can you fight? Are you going to hang out? Do you drink? How much can you smoke? All that kind of stuff. I did not connect with the fact that I wasn't happy. I just started leaning more and more into how I would escape the fact that so many parts of me were missing. Right. But it was never conscious that I was like, oh, I'm just so sad, and then as I got older, all the way up until around the time that I met you, I just tried to forget that all of those other pieces of me ever existed. Yeah. And my life became very, very small. Right.
And Kevin, I was just thinking of something. Me and Kevin are seasoned. Mm-hmm. So the perspective that we're going to come from is from mature men that have come into their own. That's different from the 25-year-old man that has not had that happen yet. Right. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole different perspective.
So are we saying that I need to add a lightly seasoned young man to this conversation?
Yeah, you do, because the perspective that we have is we've lived life, we've learned, you know what I'm saying? And we've developed our own sense of self that a 25-year-old would not have.
Okay, so let me say this to the world. If y'all know some little seasoned young men that need to be on here, give me a shout out, drop their names, because I need to look for that. And then, so to have that perspective, but I'm also going to push back and say this to my big brother. There's an assumption that because you are seasoned by age, that there is a sense of self. And I can assure you that as a life coach, as a consultant, and, in the work that we do, Luther, and the work that we do, Kevin, we know we come across people that their emotional intelligence, even at the age of 60, 70, 80, you're still wondering, what in the world are they missing? Why have they not arrived there? But I do appreciate—
Point of order. I said them. I was referring to men in your life. The men in your life who are
let me just say, I'm not too sure. Y'all, I ain't gonna get in trouble this morning. But I'm not saying if anyone's EI or EQ is extremely high. I'm just saying I'm going to take your point, because I do think that this is a moment that we could help a lot of young people, young men, and younger, right? I always, like I told my son yesterday, no matter what age you were at, there's always someone older than you. Yeah. And there's obviously someone younger than you. And so that is just something that I will work on, because it is important. But I do think what you guys are saying is that at some point in time, a man needs to stand with not only his I statements, but what is that he likes? What are his dislikes?
Yes.
And I'm sorry. That he does not, like, Kevin, you talked about you wrote poetry, you acted, you do all those things. You threw all of those things away, and those are that you put them on pause. I'm going to say you put them on pause. And so you got to bring back those things. You have to be reflective enough to know what are those missing pieces of the puzzles of yourself that you need to bring back to you. Like I see your, what is that? You have your video game in the background, right? That allows you to get back to you, the things that you love without having to worry about societal challenges and issues and judgment. So I love that perspective. I love the perspective, Luther, that you can get in and you can get yourself out. And one of the things, though, is that I want to say, when you don't know how to get yourself out, please find a mentor. Please find a life coach. It is worth the investment. I am here, whether male or female, to partner with people to take them to the space of being present, right? Or like Duncan Brown said, how to get them to live. And I want people, I have a tagline of happy, healthy, whole, right? The wholeness is that when you are bringing the pieces of the puzzle, the pieces of you that are back. You know, like I tell people, like I am now practicing my cello. I am still bad at it, but I like it. I am dancing. I'm in ballet class. I sing. You know, all of those things are the things that I threw away because they didn't fit in my life at the moment. That didn't take me into a space of unhappiness. It was just something that was missing. And so, but when you address those issues, and it is an addressing of understanding why it is that you are no longer in that space and doing those things that you love to do, that guess what? You can get there. You, no matter what age you are. If you're 26 and you're trying to figure it out, there are people here who can help you. And so I love, love, love your perspectives. And Kevin, you look like you wanted to say something.
Oh, you hit it, because I was just going to say the most valuable thing that I think parents can do for young men is, you know, have the conversation about what it is they actually like, but in a free conversation where they are able, encourage them to be vulnerable enough to talk about the things that they actually enjoy. Some of the things that they may enjoy may not seem masculine enough to fit in social with their peer group. So they're things that they would let go of, but encourage them to actually stay connected to those things. You know, I love the fact that you're doing cello again. I started going out in the woods and hiking again. And, you know, I love animals. So I've, you know, and you all know my struggles and travails with T'Challa Jenkins. You know, the greatest dog ever to live. But I'm trying to reconnect with all those things. And it does not take me to a place where, you know, now I feel like, oh, I'm more happy than I was, because I was not consciously aware of the fact that I was unhappy. Right. You know, but the more that I become myself, the more clearly, like when Luther talked about us being mature, the more I become myself, the more clearly I am able to understand that the feeling that I had before was unhappiness. Right? But I wasn't aware of it when I was there. You know,
right.
A 25-year-old.
You know, I also want to shout out to my other sister, because I had a master life coach in my life, which is Max. So I had an advantage that a lot of people don't have. I'm just being honest. That I did. So I do think that as Black men or as young men, life coaching is what we need. It is. It's different. It's a different type of life when you have someone to help you, guide you to explore who you really are.
Okay, I just noticed something, because y'all already said I was blind, but I just realized, okay, Brother Luther, what you got on over there? Because you're looking kind of good this morning. I'm liking the shirt. Come through over there from Thailand. I don't know what's going on over there, but okay. But I just want to say this too, as I make jest. You know, last time I talked about you, Luther, in the space of you picking up, leaving the United States, leaving me in Georgia, and moving to Thailand, right? And looking and searching for something more to fill what you needed to be so you could become who you were, right? And I am so proud of you for doing that, because when you are looking and seeking and trying to discover who you are, all your fears are going to pop up. And the ability to overcome those fears to get to the other side is what is really what we're talking about here. And so
Mhm.
you did a massive rehaul of your life. Because I mean, you sold everything, you left me, you left us, you left the family, and you moved to a whole different country where you don't know anybody. And so that takes a lot of strength and courage. So I wanted to
Yeah, but
shout.
I do want to say something is that I went to an exercise when I was back in America about writing down the things that you like to do that make you happy.
Yes.
Number one on my list was traveling.
Mm,
And what I realized is that is the thing that I love. I feel strong. I feel me when I'm going out to the airport. And I connected that with I traveling gives me a sense of freedom.
yes. Hmm.
And I realize is that we plan to travel. Most of us do, but we never do it.
Hmm. So
And
true.
sometimes you just gotta say, I'm doing it.
Yes. But doing
and
it is
and that's
scary.
where I'm at.
Doing it is scary. And so I'm
Mhm.
going to honor my wonderful producer's time because I know
Oh,
we're over. But I need you, two wonderful men, two Black men who also get on my nerves sometimes because over here we speak all the truth. So don't come for me, y'all, because I just if y'all ain't met me yet, this is what y'all gonna get. This is what you're gonna get. But I say everything with love. And so words of wisdom. And I don't know who is older between Kevin Miles and Luther Jones and who's more seasoned with the salt and pepper and the adobo seasoning. So I don't know who it is, but whoever wants to go first, I want you all to two things. I want you to give advice for women, no matter what shade, to if it's their partner, if their son, whoever, what they need to do. One piece of advice, and Kevin, you already said something. And then two, I need you to give advice to men in general, because I think we're always on the path of growing. So what would you deliver in a message? Who wants to go first?
well, I went first last time, so you go, Kevin.
So go ahead, Kevin.
And I always try to go last just because I can be so wordy and I don't want to talk for too long.
So we're gonna practice brevity this morning.
A lack of loquaciousness. Okay. Turn it down just a little. You see, I did that. I'm gonna turn it down. But I'm gonna start with the second half of the question, and that is what I would recommend for all men. You know, and I've said this to you before, Kiddada. You know, what we perceive as masculinity is a trap. It really, really is, because so much of who we are exists outside of those margins, and there is nothing inherently feminine about liking art. There's nothing inherently feminine about liking music. There's nothing inherent. It's all just a societal, like I say, trap that keeps us locked into a very, very small portion of ourselves. And we, as Black men, owe it to ourselves to really connect and be honest with ourselves about what we like and what we enjoy and be unapologetic about it, right? I don't owe anybody any explanation about why I enjoy this thing or that thing, or why I like to go to museums, or why I want to sit around and read, or why I want to watch. Nobody is owed any explanation. If we can just get there with the fact that it's okay for us to be whoever we feel like we are on the inside, that's a huge start. And the advice that I would give to women is the care of understanding that in a lot of respects, women are the guardians of those standards. You know, that man will stay locked into that role if he thinks that's what you expect. He will only eat certain meals and only drink certain drinks and only go certain places if he's worried that you might think some kind of way about him if he does something else. Right. And so
that's a whole other show.
And women become the guardians and the gatekeepers of those standards that keep those men. It's not the women's fault, right? But when that man is acting in that role, one of the main drivers that keep them locked in that role is the fear of how women will perceive them if they step outside of it.
Whew, that's a word. And I'm taking notes as usual, because that's the role of women. I'm just going to say it. Some women have toxic standards that are keeping our brothers down, and we're going to skip over that and come back to it at some other point in time. Brother Luther, you are on deck.
So today must be a sharing day for me, but I wanted to share a moment that I had, like when my son lost his 1-year-old daughter. And it was a moment that I could not relate to because my son is right in front of me.
Right.
So I don't know what he's going through. I see the devastation. I see that he stopped showering. He stopped eating. I had no answers except for the fact that I love you.
Yeah. Yep.
I could never say I understand. I could never say I know what you're going through because I don't. Like I said, my son was right in front of me. And I was blessed to be allowed to create a safe space to allow him to be who he felt at that moment. He hated everybody.
Yeah.
And I never judged him. The only thing I did was listen. And what my advice to women for their men and young men is to listen.
Yeah. Because
sometimes that is the most powerful thing you could do, is to listen. Not give advice, just listen.
Okay. I love it. And I appreciate you, gentlemen. It's early for one, it's late for another. And I appreciate having Duncan on, and I appreciate how forward thinking Duncan is by taking his wife's last name and his last name, honoring that. I like it. I like it. I still can't pronounce it. But like I said, today we were going to talk about men, baby, and we're going to continue to talk about men. But here, what we're not going to do, I just want to be clear. If you follow me, I hope this grows, is that I am not going to bash men on this show, because I love men. I'm not going to do it. And the reason why I'm not going to do it is because we are all the same people, the same being, and we all have the same challenges, and I'm not doing it. So if you're looking to come on this page when we have the What He Said segment and bash men, especially Black men, I promise you, I will come for you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because like I said, we are the same. Men and women have the same issues. We just have it differently, how we view it, how we work through it. And so, and we are not generous and loving towards each other 100% of the time. And so, but with that being said, what men said, what we are talking about today, I appreciate you all. I had some great men on today, and I'm going to allow Yoruba to take herself off today. Producer, one day I'm gonna have Yoruba on, y'all, so y'all can see her pretty face. She does a fantastic job. But Till next time, I promise you all, next month, what's coming is, so you know, like, it's going to be Black History Month here in the United States for everyone around the world. I live in Georgia, so I'm going to honor some of my fantastic Georgia friends that you need to know that are part of Black history. We're going to talk about all things Black next month with Life Coaching Today Presents. And everyone have a good day. And we are going to end the show. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada Gray and produced by Aruba Saad. Our mission at Life Coaching Today is to empower your health, business, community, and life. Check us out at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network would like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and spread awesome.